So we got a lot of buzz recently about this Pi network, and you sent over this article from Brave New Coin. It seems like Pi has been making headlines. There was a price surge, and then a little bit of a dip after the mainnet launch. But one of the things that makes this so interesting is they're letting people mine cryptocurrency
Right.
right on their phones, which is a pretty big change from how Bitcoin and Ethereum and a lot of the other cryptocurrencies work. And then on top of that, there's a chance it could get listed on Binance, which would be huge. So the big question is this the start of something big, or is it just hype?
Yeah. It's a fascinating case. Pi Network is really kind of tackling this issue of cryptocurrency accessibility head on. Their
Yeah.
goal is to really make it so that anyone can participate, regardless of their technical know-how or the
Yeah.
resources they
I
have.
see a lot of people talking about it, but I'm still not quite sure I understand what it is. What is Pi Network?
Well, at its core, Pi Network is a cryptocurrency ecosystem that uses this mobile-first approach to mining. So instead of all the powerful computers and
Yeah.
tons of energy like Bitcoin, they've got a system where you can mine Pi just using your smartphone.
Oh, wow. So like I could be mining Pi right now while we're talking.
Exactly. They've really tried to simplify it to make it very user-friendly. You basically just open the app daily, and you confirm you're still participating. And what's interesting is they've also tied your mining rate to your social connections. So the more people you invite to the network, the faster you can mine. It's really a strategy to build a community around Pi, which is really
Oh,
smart.
so it's like turning mining into like
Yeah.
social activity.
Right. And that kind of brings us to this recent price activity. The article mentions a 270% surge after an initial dip. That dip happened after they launched their mainnet, which is essentially the independent blockchain where Pi actually lives now. But that quick rebound suggests there's some strong interest there and belief in Pi's potential. And a lot of that excitement is tied to the possibility of it getting listed on Binance, which is the biggest crypto exchange out there.
Yeah, the article mentioned that, if I'm remembering correctly, getting listed on Binance usually means big price jumps for cryptocurrencies.
You're exactly right. A listing on Binance would expose Pi to a massive pool of new investors.
Mm.
And that potential influx of demand is really driving a lot of
Yeah.
current speculation. Some analysts are even saying that, Pi Network could be on the brink of mainstream adoption if that listing happens.
Wow, that's really interesting. It all sounds really promising. But the article also mentioned some skepticism and challenges. What are the critics saying?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles has been these delays in their KYC process. KYC stands for Know Your Customer. And it's basically a verification step to prevent fraud and money laundering. It's standard practice, in the financial world, especially with crypto.
So what's causing the delays?
It seems like they're having some trouble scaling the process effectively. A lot of early Pi users who mine coins are stuck waiting to be verified before they can access their holdings. So naturally, that's causing some frustration. Beyond that, though, some critics argue that Pi Network still lacks this really robust ecosystem compared to platforms like Ethereum, which have a much wider range of uses and applications.
So there's not a lot you can do with Pi right now, even if you have it.
That's one of the central concerns.
Yeah.
It's still early days for Pi Network, and they are working to develop applications and utility for the coin. But for now, a lot of the value is tied to speculation about its future potential.
Okay, so we've got this potential for explosive growth, but we also have some questions about its utility and some roadblocks to overcome. Sounds like we need to unpack this a little bit further.
I think we do. And to really understand where Pi might be headed, it's worth looking at the team behind it and the broader vision they have for the project. What's fascinating here is that they're not just trying to create another cryptocurrency. They're really aiming to create this whole new way for people to interact with the digital economy.
That's a big goal. Okay, so let's talk about the people behind Pi Network. The article mentioned that it was founded by Stanford PhD grads. What's their background, and what are they trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so the founders, Nicholas Kokolas and Cheng Gao Bengchu, they have backgrounds in social computing and blockchain technology. And their vision for Pi Network, it's really quite ambitious. They're essentially aiming to, bridge this gap between traditional finance and the world of cryptocurrency and make it accessible to everyone.
So it's not just about making money. It's about creating a more inclusive financial system.
Exactly. They believe that blockchain technology has this potential to really empower individuals and level the playing field. But the current cryptocurrencies, they're often too complex or difficult to access for the average person. And so Pi Network's mobile-first approach is really designed to change that.
That's a pretty lofty goal. But how does that vision translate into real-world applications? What will people actually be able to do with Pi?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's one that Pi Network is still working to answer. They have plans to create this decentralized marketplace where users can buy and sell goods and services using Pi. They're also exploring applications in areas like social media and content creation, and even gaming.
So it's kind of like building a whole new digital economy from the ground up.
Exactly. They're trying to create this entire ecosystem where Pi is the currency of choice. And that's where things get interesting, because the success of that ecosystem will really depend on attracting developers and businesses and users.
So it's not just about the technology. It's about building a community around it.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us back to those challenges we discussed earlier. If they can't overcome those KYC delays and build that solid foundation of trust, it's going to be a lot harder to attract those developers and users.
Right, that makes sense. Speaking of challenges, though, we haven't even talked about the elephant in the room, those price predictions. The article mentioned Pi hitting almost $4 by the end of March. What are your thoughts on that?
Those predictions are definitely eye-catching, but it's important to remember that cryptocurrency markets, they're incredibly volatile. Prices can swing wildly, based on speculation and news, and even social media buzz.
So you're saying we shouldn't get too caught up in the hype.
Exactly. While a Binance listing could potentially lead to significant price appreciation, it's crucial to approach these predictions with a healthy dose of skepticism. The long-term value of Pi is ultimately going to depend on the success of the project itself. Its ability to attract users and build that robust ecosystem and really deliver on its promises.
So it's back to that idea of potential versus reality. Pi Network has a lot of potential, but it also faces some significant hurdles.
Precisely. And that's what makes this such a fascinating case study we're really witnessing. The birth of a new cryptocurrency with this unique approach and a pretty bold vision, but only time will tell if it can overcome those challenges and achieve its ambitious goals.
Well, after hearing all of this, I have to admit, I'm even more curious about Pi Network now than I was before. It's exciting to see a project trying to do things differently and make cryptocurrency more accessible.
I agree. It's refreshing to see a focus on inclusion and user-friendliness in a space that can often feel, very technical and exclusive.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the basics of Pi Network to the hype and the skepticism, the vision of the founders, and the challenges they face. But what does this all mean for our listener? The person who sent us this article, who's trying to make sense of all of this?
I think the key takeaway here is that Pi Network is an intriguing experiment with a lot of potential, but it's still very early in its journey.
It really feels like Pi Network is at this crossroads. They've got this innovative approach, but there's still so much uncertainty.
Yeah. It's a classic tale of disruption, isn't it? You get someone trying to shake things up, especially in a field like finance. There's going to be resistance and some growing pains.
And it sounds like from the article, Pi Network's facing some real pushback.
Oh, yeah. And it's coming from both sides. You've got the traditional crypto community who are skeptical of Pi's claims and approach. They're waiting to see if it can actually deliver on its promises, the scalability and real-world use. And then you've got those outside the crypto world who are just hesitant about any kind of digital currency. Maybe they don't understand it, or they have concerns about security.
So Pi Network needs to win over both sides, the crypto enthusiasts and the everyday people, if it wants to be successful.
That's exactly right. And that's a tall order. They're essentially trying to build a bridge between two worlds that haven't always seen eye to eye. But if they can pull it off, the impact could be really significant.
Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to create like a new on-ramp to the world of crypto, one that's a lot more user-friendly and accessible.
That's a great way to put it. And if they can simplify the process enough, they might just attract this whole new wave of people who were previously intimidated by crypto.
So final verdict, is Pi Network worth the hype?
That's a question that only our listener can answer. We've laid out the facts, the potential benefits and the risks. Ultimately, it comes down to individual assessment and risk tolerance.
I think that's a really good point. There's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to investing in something like Pi Network.
Exactly. What I would encourage our listener to do is continue researching. Stay informed. The cryptocurrency landscape is constantly evolving, so it's important to keep learning and evaluating new information as it emerges.
Stay curious, stay informed, and maybe don't bet the farm just yet.
I think that's wise. Ultimately, the success of Pi Network is going to depend on its ability to build that strong community, deliver on its promises, and demonstrate real-world value. And whether it succeeds or fails, it's definitely a story worth following.
Well said. A big thank you to our expert for walking us through this deep dive into Pi Network. And to our listener, we hope this has given you a better understanding of this really intriguing project. As always, keep exploring the world of crypto and be sure to share any other interesting finds with us. We'll be here to help you unpack them.